Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel, where we are currently in the middle of our Inferno arc. So I've been sending attempts since last Tuesday, November 8th, and while I have been getting my cheeks clapped the majority of the time, I have actually made some decent progress. One of the more challenging aspects of the Inferno for me personally has been dealing with the blobs and correctly flicking prayers to minimize damage while I look for a way to solve a wave. You may be asking yourself, what makes the blobs so difficult to understand? Well, it really just boils down to their unique attack style. So, blobs will detect if a player is protecting against magic or range as soon as it comes into range of you, or 3 ticks after its last attack, and then it's going to attack you with the opposite style from what you were praying after another 3 ticks. That being said, you can probably see why it can get a bit hectic to correctly prayer flick when you're dealing with some of these higher waves. This is the reason it will be extremely important for me to be able to one-tick alternate flick as we get to those higher waves. So, while the goal of this series is not necessarily to be a guide on the Inferno, I am documenting my learning process and sharing those tips and tricks that help me to progress. With that being said, let's hop right back into it. Alright, so we are picking up on day 2 of the Inferno attempts. My personal best on day 1 was wave 31, and as we are gonna soon come to find out, wave 31 is our first major roadblock. Wave 31 includes 2 blobs, 1 melee, and 1 ranger. Double blob waves can be tricky because if you don't move quickly enough to safe spot and begin prayer flicking some of these monsters, you could take lethal damage. As we can see here, I've got the melee and ranger trapped on one side, literally just tanking ranger hits while I pray against the melee. And then from here we kind of run around the pillar, tanking blob hits, tanking a melee hit, and trying to staff bash the blobs with our Kodai because we brewed down. And Blood Barrage came off of autocast. So these are just little things that need to be improved upon. Okay, cool. Wave 22, I've got my first pillar stack, but it's just a blob and a ranger. So I'm just gonna one-tick alternate flick this and see how that goes. Oh no. Well, that did not go as planned. Awesome. So we came back in and ran into the exact same scenario of a ranger and a blob that we need to be able to flick at the same time. So again, you can see I fall out of the one-tick alternate flicking rhythm here. I'm not protecting myself against the incoming attacks, and eventually just get slapped and die. So I ran back to the bank, and honestly, I'm just trying to practice one-tick flicking at the bank. In theory, it's pretty simple, right? We're just clicking to swap our prayers once every tick, but I don't know, whenever I've got all those monsters on me and I need to do it rapidly, my brain just like freezes and I just can't keep in the rhythm. Now when it comes to lazy flicking mobs, I'm not necessarily doing poorly at this, but I could be doing a lot better. What I'd been doing for my first few attempts is just using the visual cues of the monsters to recognize when their attack had registered and when I needed to be praying or flicking my prayer on and off. This did lead to a lot of missed flicks or me leaving my prayer up for maybe a tick or two too long. So this was another area that I thought if I improved, I could save a little bit of resources as well as just get a little bit more comfortable with prayer flicking monsters in general. So it is now Thursday, November 10th. This is our 3rd day of Inferno attempts, and here's a quick clip of me actually making it past wave 31. So it's not the cleanest solve out there, but you can see we got lucky and got the ranger trapped on one side, so that we could take care of one of the blobs on the western side of the pillar. Then we were able to safe spot the melee, take out the other blob, and essentially solve the rest of the wave from here. This run in particular, we actually made it all the way to wave 39, so a new personal best, and we are now looking at a stack with a blob and a mage. So in this instance, we are going to try 1-tick alternate flicking to avoid as much incoming damage as possible. But again, as we saw earlier, I just really don't have the rhythm on this 1-tick flick down, so pretty quickly I just got gunned down by the mage and the blob. The good news is that we went right back into the Inferno for another attempt, and we were able to successfully clear wave 31 again. So we did get kind of lucky with the ranger and a blob spawning on the east side of the pillar so that we could easily trap those behind it. I'm not sure why I made the decision to kill the blobs first in this scenario. Looking back on it, I should have just gunned down the melee due to the fact that he was about to dig onto me. But for now, I'm just going to take a solve as a solve, and we will take note of all that knowledge that we get from reviewing our previous mistakes on video. Fortunately, on this attempt, we did reach wave 44, so that's a new PB for us. And yeah, I really just wanted to include this clip to show you that sometimes you just make stupid mistakes. So I'm over here on the east side of the pillar, flicking the melee. I notice that there's still a nibbler up over there attacking my pillar, so without even changing my prayer, I run to go after the nibbler, and I just get spanked by the major in a bat, and I get one shot. That last clip was on Thursday, and to be honest with you guys, I spent the next couple days, until Monday, honestly, not even being able to make it past wave 31. I was getting super frustrated and demotivated because I had the expectation that my progress in the Inferno should be linear. I just made it to wave 44 on day 3. Like, why am I now getting stuck on wave 31 for a few days in a row? After a few days of no meaningful progress, I decided I needed to change something. My biggest issue at the moment is that I'm really just struggling to consistently flick multiple mobs at once, because I personally just have a hard time keeping track of game ticks on top of everything else in the Inferno. So I actually took the advice of Exact in one of his Inferno guides, and I turned on the Metronome plugin on RuneLite. And you guys, I'm not gonna lie, this plugin made my life 10 times easier in the Inferno. It kind of feels like I'm cheating. If you've never used it before, the Metronome plugin is super straightforward. It's just an in-game metronome that's going to give you an audible cue every game tick. So you can hear in my game right now, there's a ding every game tick. So with this newfound knowledge, we ventured back into the Inferno, and yeah, here's a clip of us successfully completing wave 31, which had been a pretty serious roadblock the past few days. I don't know what it is about that metronome, it just gives me a little bit more confidence that I'm praying on the right ticks. You can see here I'm able to lazy flick this melee mob, tick perfect. And that is entirely due to the metronome. In addition to that, one of the huge areas I've been struggling is when I do have to flick a major and a blob or a ranger and a blob at the same time. With the metronome, I'm now able to keep that 1-tick alternate flick going without losing the rhythm or without falling out of rotation, and as you can see here, we're able to eliminate the ranger and not take any damage. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, look at that. We made it to wave 55. And again, there's just something about this metronome that is just giving me a little bit more confidence to be able to solve these waves, be able to pray correctly. This metronome really was kind of a breakthrough for me. I know a lot of people probably look at using the metronome as kind of a noob trap or whatever, but hey, if you're learning your first cape, and this is what helps you learn those attack cycles, by all means, let's turn on that Metronome plugin and make this as easy as we can for ourselves. The Inferno is already a really long grind, especially if you are as newbie as I am, so we need every advantage we can get. And yeah, just letting this clip play out, again, just to display, the lazy flicking has really become a lot easier with the use of the metronome. This is actually pretty crazy. We're on wave 57. This is the first run since I turned on the metronome. So clearly that metronome is helping a lot. Unfortunately, the metronome does not stop me from being a dumbass every now and then. So we just ran over and took a fat 60 from the mage, and then ran right back over and took another one. So we got KO'd by the mage. Wave 57 though. New personal best. It's, I think, 6 days since we started the grind. I'm happy with that. Alright guys, sorry for all the woodcutting clips, but, you know, we're working on that maxing grind, and we're 315k away from 98 woodcutting, so slowly and surely getting there. But that about wraps up our first week of progress in the Inferno. Wave 57 PB, not bad. And just to recap, some of the things that really helped me were using the Metronome plugin on RuneLite, turning on low detail mode on RuneLite just to remove clutter on the ground, and generally just tempering my expectations. Progress is not linear in the Inferno, and even if you have to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, that's okay. You're still moving forward and progressing. We can't all be exact. But yeah, thank you guys for checking out the series. If you are enjoying watching me struggle through the Inferno and would like to see more of this content, consider liking the video and subscribing. I also stream live on Twitch at twitch.tv/LilRumsy. Who knows, maybe we'll complete the Inferno live on stream one day. Thank you so much again, and looking forward to episode 3 of Rumsy versus the Inferno. Until next time, bye.